Hello, hello, my beautiful pearls. How's everyone doing today? I kind of missed you. I hope everyone is doing great. I just came back from my evening walk, my evening meditation walk. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about meditation. I hope you're having a great day. So, as usual, I would like to tell you what's going to happen today. And excuse my dog, Lucky. Do you mind? I am online. So today we're going to be together for almost 60 minutes, like between 50 and 60 minutes. Lucky, come here, please. And we're going to be talking about a very, very dear topic to my heart. And the reason why I chose this topic today, Lucky, come here, please. Come here. Thank you. Sit. Sit. Good boy. Sit down. Sit down. Okay. Sorry for this, guys. But this is the beauty of working from home, you have to just live with it and like do the best you can with what you have. So today we're going to be together for, like I said, between 50 and 60 minutes. We're going to be talking about self-development and what it is that, like, what are the best 3 ways to start this journey. The reason I decided to talk about this today is because I've been having a lot of questions related to that. So I want you to, as usual, please stick with me till the end. I have an invitation for you at the end of this call. In the meantime, I also would love it really if you can, just tell me, answer the questions that I ask you. If you have any questions, please go ahead and drop them in the Q&A, and I will try to answer them at the end of this webinar. And I feel like one day I just want to create an open webinar where we can actually have a discussion and not just me talking. So hopefully one day we're going to be doing that. Not yet, but someday soon. So going into today's topic, before I share everything about this topic, I would like to start with telling you how this happened with me, how I started my own journey, how things happened for me, and then we'll talk more about, everything else. Just give me a second. Okay, so before I delve, like I said, in the topic in general, I want to tell you how this happened for me and with me. So in 2020, I think that was the year. Yes, it's already 3 years now. Oh my God. So in 2020, I had just finished like huge projects that I was working on. And usually in March and April, things in my other business, the events business, things start calming down, and the season is almost over. So I usually get to relax a little bit in that time. So right after the end of February in 2020, I was already in the mindset of kind of a relaxation, and then COVID hit. It's kind of like I felt it coming somehow. And I had already started doing some sort of soul searching in a way. But I didn't really know why I was doing it. So, and then COVID hit. Now, when COVID hit, what happened was we started experiencing that solitude that was sort of imposed on us. So it's one thing to decide to stay alone and to kind of avoid everyone around you, or take a sabbatical with yourself. It's one thing to do it with by being your own decision maker in that process, but it's something completely different when this is actually imposed on you. So it feels completely different when someone comes and tells you, sorry, but you cannot leave the house, than you deciding to stay in and not wanting to see anyone around. And that year, I can imagine, I can only actually imagine how things were happening in the different households in the world. But I heard so many stories about people, because they've never actually interacted with each other for such a long period of time, because there's always life happening, there's always work, there's always the social life, there's always the kids, there's always the parents, there's always the extended family, so, and the friends, people most of the time are externally focused, and when COVID hit, this was the one issue, or I don't want to call it an issue. I mean, for me, honestly, I know COVID was devastating for a lot of people. I know a lot of people left this world because of this virus. I know a lot of people went to hospitals and came back well enough. And, it's not the same for everybody. But for me, I felt like this year was God sent to us to tell us that we need to take a break, that we need to breathe, that we need to stop and reflect and think and like really take a breather, because we live in a world that is just not stopping. Like, everything happens so fast, everything happens in ways that we most of the time don't understand, and we surely never question. So that year was kind of like a wake-up call to a lot of us. And what happened in so many households is, when people started actually living together again and experiencing each other again, things started developing either in the right direction or in the wrong direction. And people started seeing things that they had never seen before in each other's spaces, in each other's energies, in each other's personalities, in each other's habits and ways of dealing with things and ways of dealing with life. So that's where a lot of relationships either like were strengthened by this kind of imposed camaraderie or imposed companionship, and some people found out that they actually, like, there's something wrong there. And the reason why they could discover this is because now they are actually able to see things, because there's nothing else that is distracting them from seeing the reality of things in their own life. It's like I compare it to before COVID. Like, if you were standing in front of the mirror is, like those mirrors that give you different shapes. Kind of, this was the mirror that we used to look at before COVID. And when COVID hit, that mirror suddenly became clear, and we started seeing things clearly. We started seeing things in a different way, and we started realizing that, hey, this is different. It doesn't have to be wrong. It was just different. And people started seeing things in other people that looked completely different, that became, like, wow, a lot of people started realizing that they have a lot of things missing within themselves. I was one of those people. So when I started reflecting internally, and that was what happened, because I am living alone, I don't have the responsibilities, I don't have the partnership to have to sit with one person, and in front of that person have to live in an imposed kind of curfew where you have to be spending your time with that person. I was spending my time with me. And for me, that year was a reminder, like a big reminder of who I truly was, of my really core essence, And I dare say that this was something that happened to everyone, even the people who think that COVID hurt them one way or another. It did in that way, if they look at it this way, but it also sort of clarified a lot of things. Now, the clarity was there. That doesn't mean that we like what we see, but things became clearer, even if the result is not something that we would have liked to see or acknowledge. But at least that clarity was there. That clarity started, it just exploded in front of people's eyes about their own lives, about the people in their lives, about the choices that they made, about everything that you go through in your life. And that's why I say this year or kind of was like literally a wake-up call to a lot of us. Many of us had this experience. Now, what I feel is that, why do people really have to wait for something this drastic to see the things that they need to adjust in their life, or they need to fix in their life for themselves? Unfortunately, because we live in a fast world, and this world is developing and it's moving even faster than we can even fathom to imagine. It's moving in a direction that many of us are not aware of that direction, and it's moving really, really fast. So that break that was imposed on us, I personally say, why does it have to be imposed on us? And this is the topic of today. Why do we have to wait for drastic measures, for drastic problems, for really bad issues to happen to us or for us in our life, in order for us to, start thinking about us? So, and I have a lot of people who ask me, like, I talk to a lot of you, and a lot of you ask me, I don't know where to start from. What am I supposed to do? What am I looking for? Where do I begin to elevate my life? Where do I begin from? And I decided to do this today because I wanted you to have some of the tools that you can already now start using, so that you can start elevating your life. Whether you're going through hardships in your life, whether you are being limited because of financial limitations, emotional limitations, mental limitations, whatever kind of limitations you might be having in your life, today, I want to really give you some tools that will enable you to start this journey of, I call it self-development and self-discovery, because like I always say, when we come to this world, we are here on a mission, every single one of us. The only problem is when we arrive, we start living a certain type of life that brings us or that imposes on us certain limitations because of the environment that we live in, because of the family that we live in. And as young human beings or children, we don't have the capacity to express ourselves. So instead of expressing ourselves, we start actually absorbing everything that comes our way, and we start learning from that. Although our soul has got a lot of learnings already, but if our soul is on this planet or in this life, it means that our soul is still learning. So we start learning and we start absorbing, and these learnings at those given points in time, they help us, they help our soul grow, they help our soul become, more like vibrating higher. But at the same time, because of the specific environments that we are in, because of the group consciousness that we live in, and also obviously because of the family that we are born in, there are different kinds of limitations that come to us through that environment. And we absorb and we live with it. And we don't even really know that we have those limitations until we get to this point where we start that inner discovery journey. And we start really remembering. Our inner discovery journey is not about finding out who we are. It's actually about remembering who we are. Because when we came here, our soul already knows why it's here. Our soul is already on a mission. It knows the mission. It's the vessel that takes time to remember and to understand. And by vessel, I mean our body, our mind, our subconscious mind, everything that this tool that our soul decided to use on this in this life, So I remember when I remembered my purpose, it actually hit me when I was actually doing a live Facebook. I was doing a Facebook live, kind of like this webinar, but on Facebook in the group. And I had already known what my mission is and all, but I remembered what I used to say when I was a kid. So that was something that came to me while I was doing a live Facebook. And I remembered that at the age of 5, I used to tell my parents, I came here to teach people. Those were the exact words I used. And I was 5 years old, I didn't say I want to be a teacher in the future. When you ask kids, like, what do you want to be in the future? I never said this as an answer to a question that was given to me, like, what do you want to be in the future? I used to say this just as a statement, I would state that I came here to teach people. And I only remembered that when I was doing this live. I can't really remember what the topic was, but it hit me there and then. And I was like, oh my God, I remembered. And the only way or the only reason I was able to remember is because I was using all those tools, and I became that person who is so aware. And I still believe that I, like everyone else, will be acquiring even more and more awareness and more knowledge. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because that's one of the tools that I'm going to be discussing or telling you about today. So I was so aware to the point that now I understand and now I realize. And I have to thank that year, that 2020 year, because it was my like the biggest reminder that I had for myself to go back to what I had started years before. You know, my journey did not start in 2020. My journey started years before that. But for some reason, I allowed life to go by and to pass me by. Really, that's something that I allowed, and that's something that we allow until we start digging and until we start asking those big questions. And those big questions are what lead us to starting that self-development and self-discovery journey. So the first thing that I want to highlight here is, before I give you the tools, is how do you actually know that it's time for you to start your self-development and self-discovery journey? It actually happens naturally. And I say, and everyone who really works in this field would tell you that every single one of us have got a divine timing. Every single one of us, like our souls, they are, like I said, on a mission. And there is a very specific time for our soul to start shifting or to start elevating. And that's when we know that this journey is starting. And most of the time, we know that this journey is starting when we start having big questions, like the questions that I mentioned in my post. You know, what truly brings me joy? Why am I here? What is it that, you know, what's my mission? What am I here to do? What am I here for? Who am I supposed to be? You know, those big questions that start popping up in our minds, these are our alarm, or, well, they're not an alarm because there's nothing alarming, but it's our, like, this is our alert. Like, now is the time for you to start that journey. Now is the time for you to start moving forward, to start asking the big questions and actually finding the answers, or at least looking for the answers. Most of the time you will find the answers, and most of the time, the more you find answers, the more questions you have. And once you start this journey, I can assure you, it's not gonna stop. And I always compare it to the very famous Pringles ad. Not like, I'm not advertising Pringles here, but they have this tagline, or this very important tagline. They say, when you pop, you don't stop, right? So this is exactly the same. Once you start this journey, the more information you receive, the more you want to know. It becomes kind of an addiction, but a good one. You know, you're not addictive to bad habits. These habits are good habits. So because you start asking those questions and you really want to have answers, the first thing that you want to do is really understand what your intentions are from these questions. Like, why is it that you want to know? So that's the first thing that you want to figure out when you are on a self-discovery or self-development journey. So now I'm going to give you those tools that I mentioned in the post. So the first one is, for you to start this journey, you want to really understand what your intentions are. Why are you starting this journey? This is why those big questions become very important, right? So you want to understand your intentions, and you want to really set very clear intentions. So if you have, or if you are skeptical about your intentions, or you don't really know what your intentions are, I find self-reflection a very, very, very important tool and very useful tool. You know, because we live in such a fast moving time, we tend to just go with the flow. We tend to never sit and ask ourselves, because you don't want to ask anyone else. You want to ask you. This is about you. It's not about anyone around you. It's about you. We never, and that's why Corona was something, because we actually sat down and, what are we going to do? So we started asking those questions, and we started, talking to ourselves and asking ourselves big questions. So self-reflection and taking that time to actually breathe and relax and really think about what it is that you want. What are your intentions? What are your goals? Where do you want to reach? Those big questions or those big goals and intentions, you want to be very clear about them, and you want to really set them in front of you, and you want to do like kind of a priority list, for your intentions and your goals, and you want to focus on what is important to you, not what is important to everyone else, and not what is a priority for everyone else. You want to first figure out everything that is related to you. So that's why it's important for you to sit and reflect and really set your intentions properly. That's the first step that you want to take. Now, when you do that, how do you do that? So first of all, you want to really figure out what it is that makes you happy, what it is that brings you joy. What are your aspirations in life? What are the things that you really like? If you have them, you will probably be the happiest person on earth. A lot of people, when they are first asked this question, they always think, many of us always think of the financial, like, if I had all the money in the world, I would be very happy. Let me tell you something, and I can assure you, a lot of people have all the money in the world, and they are this close to happiness, like really very far away. Happiness is something that is so far-fetched for them, although they have all the money in the world. So I want you to really think about the things that matter to you, the things that bring joy to your heart, the things that make you like really happy, like you feel it from your heart, like for me, if I help one person out there just become just a little better in their own life, this brings me all the joy in the world. Those of you who have spoken to me, I am sure that they have felt that they really can, like, they can resonate with this because they felt it and they heard it. So you want to know what that thing is for you. What is it that really makes you happy? What is it that you aspire for, that if you get today, you will be satisfied? Like you will be, yes, I've got everything I want. I've got everything that I need. This is one thing that you want to think of. So one of the tools is to sit and just reflect. And sometimes, because we never do this, when we sit and reflect, we think that we will not get any answers. We don't know. But if you give yourself the time and the break, the answers will come. Because remember, your soul knows. It's just a matter of giving your soul kind of the space to express. So that's what you want to do. And then when you do that, you will receive the answers. Now, when you receive the answers, what's the next step that you want to do is you want to really create for yourself. So now you know what's important for you, right? Now you know what your aspirations are. what you want to do is you want to sit with yourself and put those aspirations and those, you know, really joyful moments that you want to have in your life, those important moments, those important things that you want for yourself in your life. Just put them in front of you. Kind of imagine them. Okay, they are standing there. So like imagine them as people. And then you want to prioritize them. You want to say, okay, you are going here, you are going there. I'll do this first, and then I'll do that, and then I'll do that. So that's one step. So you want to kind of create a roadmap for how you want to reach that important answer that you received when you reflected internally and asked yourself the big questions. Now, when you do the roadmap, and this is very important because a lot of people procrastinate because they don't know what to do next. A lot of people procrastinate because they get so overwhelmed with the aspirations that they have or the things that they want to do in their life. And because it's so big, they feel like it's so far-fetched that they cannot really reach there. And they get so overwhelmed and they shove it somewhere in a drawer, like the whole journey. And they go back to their ordinary day-to-day life that, you know, for them this is how they are used to living, right? Now, instead of you getting overwhelmed and instead of you not knowing what to do with those big ideas, that's why you put those roadmap. And then that roadmap, you go through it step by step, which is, and to do that, you want to create SMART goals. Now, what are SMART goals? SMART goals, first of all, are like if you have a big goal, your SMART goals are your small goals that you can do one after the other to actually achieve the big goal, right? Makes sense? So it's kind of like you have a huge cake and you cannot really eat the cake all together. So in order for you to eat the cake, you want to cut it in pieces and then eat it. And then at the end of the day, you've eaten the whole cake. Kind of an interesting description there or comparison, but I think you get what I mean. Let me know, by the way, if this is making sense to you or if you are like benefiting at least from what I'm telling you here. And the other thing, I actually want to open the chat. I haven't opened the chat. Okay. So the other thing I want to tell you about your SMART goals. What does SMART stand for, actually? So these SMART goals, first of all, they need to be specific. So that's what the S stands for. So your goal has to be really very specific. It needs to be measurable. So you want to have a goal that is specific, that you can measure. And by measuring that goal, you would know if you're succeeding or not, right? It needs to be achievable or attainable. So you don't want to set a goal. Again, remember, these goals are what's going to lead you to reach the bigger goal, the kind of overwhelming goal if you're going to go straight away there. So that's why you create those SMART goals, right? Now, the R stands for relatable. So you want something, or relevant. You want something a goal that is relevant to you, that makes sense to you, that makes sense in this very specific journey of yours. So that goal has to be relatable and relevant. And obviously, you want to put a time bound or a timeline for yourself. This is how you create a SMART goal. Once you achieve every SMART goal, then you move to, like, you achieve this one, you move to the other, you move to the other. And remember, you are already creating these goals following the roadmap that you put to reach that big goal and to reach that big intention of yours, right? That's one of the most important tools for you to start with your self-development, right? Now, another tool I like to use when it comes to this is the vision board. Vision boards are really like putting your ideas in a creative way and visual way in front of you. That's why it's called vision board. So it's not like this is my vision for the year 2023 or 2024. No, it's really how you see your life, how you visualize your life. That's why vision boards are important. And instead of leaving those visions or those things that you imagine for yourself or that you aspire for yourself, instead of just leaving them in your head, and because we think so many thoughts every day, almost between 60,000 and 70,000 thoughts per day, those aspirations and those dreams and those things that you want for yourself, you will hardly remember them, you know? So I remember when I was a child, I used to have so many of those. I used to have a lot of things that I wanted to do, a lot of dreams. And if I only knew then what I know now, I would have had so many vision boards and I would have actually achieved a lot of those imagination streams that I used to have when I was a kid. But because nobody told me and nobody explained to me how this works, I never did it, right? So, and I'm pretty sure neither did you. So now you have this information, put it to action, right? Create for yourself those visions, and you're not creating them, by the way. They exist, they are there. You're just moving them from this space to somewhere where you can see, to a place where you can always look at them and say, ah, yes, oh, I achieved this, and then celebrate. Every time you achieve even the simplest goal, and this is very, very important when you start your self-development journey. You, like, one of the things that you're going to be going through when you go through a self-development journey, one of the things that you will learn a lot about is compassion. And I always say, and I want to remind you all the time, that compassion is not something you just want to have or feel for others. You want to actually start by being compassionate to yourself, and by, giving yourself a break, giving yourself the benefit of the doubt before you do it for other people, before you do it with other people. You want to treat yourself, just like I said in my last webinar, right? You want to treat yourself, you treat yourself the way you want people to treat you. So you want to be compassionate with you so that people can be compassionate with you. You want to be fair to yourself so that people can be fair to you, right? So just one of the things that you will learn is every time something that happens that might not be to your liking, or if you fail, let's say, in something, when you learn or when you are on your self-development journey, the way you look at failure becomes different. You don't look at failure as failure. You look at failure as an opportunity for you to learn, as an opportunity for you to grow, as an opportunity for you to become better. So that is your kind of learning technique. If we never fail, how do we know if we are learning? We have to fail. We want to fail. Like, I'm a biker, right? And I say, if you haven't fell down yet, you will fall. That's what bikers do. And when you fall, that's how you learn how to maneuver. That's how you learn how to, move your bike in the right way. And that's exactly how life works as well. When you fail, you learn how to maneuver the next time you are faced with a similar situation or with similar circumstances. So that's number one, setting your goals and your intentions. And I gave you exactly how you want to go through that roadmap and what are the goals or the SMART goals, how to do the SMART goals. Now, the second thing that you want to do is you want to keep on learning. And like I said, when you stop, when you pop, you don't stop. So to help yourself, it happens naturally. It's not like you're going to be on your self-development journey and really not learning. It happens naturally. Your continuous learning will become your second nature. So you will start looking into how am I going to improve myself. And remember, because you have those intentions and those goals, they kind of like interconnected, right? Because now you have those goals, now things are clear for you in your mind, for you in your life, and you have those goals. Now you want to find the way to reach those goals, right? Excuse me. So you start your own self-improvement. And how to do that? There are so many different ways. Reading is one of them. Listening to podcasts is one of them. There are so many informative podcasts out there, and really depending on what sort of goals you have. And there are so many there's a lot of content online. I mean, we are so lucky that we are now in this era where everything is actually available for us at any given point in time. It's not like in the old days, for you to learn something, you had to go to that, I don't know, maybe guru and sit with that person for months and months so that you can learn one or two things. Today, we are in an era or in a time where everything is at our fingertips. You know, you just type and you get information. So just knowing, the knowing is the first part, which is, why am I here? What is my mission? What are my intentions? What are my goals? You know, then according to that, you start your learning process, your self-improvement, by reading, by accessing information over the internet, even by taking courses, even by doing what you are doing now, watching me, even reaching out to me sometimes for, one-on-one discovery call, like the call that we're going to talk about later. But putting yourself out there and exposing yourself to the information that exists today is very important. This is how you learn. So you might even ask for mentorship from people around you, people who have already gone through those journeys and who have already built their knowledge base or their kind of support base. You want to think about it this way. So that knowledge and that education, these are your compass to, evolving in this journey. These are your kind of, you want to think about it as your ever-growing library. Every time you learn something, you feel like, hey, now I know this, it's really good, but oh, I can learn this as well. I can learn this, like me now. I've already done feng shui, and I'm doing something related to Chinese astrology. So you start, wanting to really devour the knowledge that is out there. And that's amazing, because the minute you start doing that, guess what's going to happen in your life? You will become someone who people will go to ask questions. People will go to have advice. Even if you think maybe that's not what you want to do, it will happen. It will happen naturally when you start learning, when you start becoming more aware of everything that you have as a soul, and then also as your vessel, which is your mind and your subconscious mind and this body of yours. And that leads me to the third question, to the third point that I wanted to mention today about, or the third step that I wanted to mention today about self-development and the self-development journey. And that is practicing mindfulness and self-awareness. So because now you have a lot of, like, you know what your intentions are, you have your goals, you've already set your roadmap, and you're already executing on those smart goals to reach that big goal and that big intention. You are, to do that, you are developing that kind of your own database of information, right? You're learning, you're absorbing, you're becoming that knowledgeable person. And then when you have all this knowledge, it's going to become something natural for you to pass it on. You know, you're not sitting alone in this world, you're not living alone in this world. You're going to be exposed to people, you're going to meet people, and then when you meet those people, you're going to be talking. What are you going to be talking about? You're going to be talking about your life, you're going to be talking about your experience, whatever you're going through. If you are on a self-development journey, you're going to be talking about that knowledge that you are gathering and that you are grasping and that you are learning, and you're going to be so proud about it. That's the beauty of being on this journey, because the things that you learn, and believe me, the people that will come into your life, they are supposed to be in your life. You are supposed to help them. You are supposed to pass on that knowledge that you have acquired to these people, whether you're doing it intentionally or non-intentionally. This is why they exist. And that's why you, like, sometimes you sit with people and you have very specific conversations. Those conversations are meant to be this way because that person is learning from you and you are learning from that person. And sometimes you sit with people and you don't even have anything in common and you don't talk about anything, because really you, in that very specific moment in time, do not have anything to add value, like anything that it will add value to that person's life, and they don't have anything in their life that can add value to you. And that's why you don't really have a conversation, and you will feel like, okay, like we don't really match, or we don't really sync in the way we think or in the way we behave. And these people, they just stop existing because they have no definition or no role for them in your life and you in theirs, right? And then you will have those people that you will be really helping by transforming and transmitting whatever information that you're learning, whatever experience that you are going through, that is supposed to help them in their own journey, and they will do the same for you. Kind of like what I'm doing here, right? Every time, I have to tell you something, like every time I talk to any one of my clients, any one of the people like you, if we ever had a call, every time I am with anybody on a call, I am learning as well. That person, whoever that person is reminding me of my own life at one given point in time. And that's why I am able to help them, because I see a lot of what I have been through in them. And because I've been through it and I've figured it out and I've found the solution, I am able to help. And you, on the other hand, when you go through your development journey and when you start your own evolution and your own, like when your soul starts vibrating higher and higher, you will become a magnet to those people who are supposed to divinely learn from you. Kind of like how you are watching me today. One day you will have someone coming to you and wanting to learn from you, because you are already on this journey. That means that one day you're going to be helping someone else on their journey, right? So the third practice that I want you to, or the third thing that I want you to remember about how to go about your self-discovery or self-development journey, like I said, is you want to practice mindfulness and you want to be self-aware. Now, to do that, the tools are very famous, very known, and very useful. And the first and most famous one and most like common and used one is meditation. Now, meditation, a lot of people are worried about meditation because they think like, how can I just not think of anything? In fact, meditation is not about not thinking of anything. It's really about thinking of everything within. So most of the time when we meditate, we are like, when we're not meditating, we are thinking of everything external to us, of the whole world and of everything around us, never reflecting, never going inwards, never thinking about us. What happens is when we meditate is in Tibetan, and I have to refer Dr. Joe Dispenza on this, because he explains that to meditate is to become familiar with. What are you becoming familiar with? You're becoming familiar with your own self. You're becoming familiar with your own thoughts. And that's how meditation helps in your self-development, because now you become more aware. Now you become knowledgeable of you, of who you are, of who you are supposed to be, of what your soul is here for, you know? So that's the importance of meditation. And it's not about you not thinking, it's actually about you thinking in a very focused way to find those big answers. Okay? So I don't want you to be skeptical about meditation, or a lot of people are actually afraid to meditate because they think that, oh, how can I calm my brain? Actually, you don't need to calm your brain, you just need to go with the flow, and your brain will calm down on its own. Like, you don't want to be focused on how am I going to calm my brain. You just let it happen, right? So this is a tip about meditation. The other thing that you want to do when you're practicing mindfulness and for you to become more self-aware is journaling. And journaling basically is kind of very similar to your vision board, but instead of doing those, instead of putting your thoughts visually on a board, you are now writing your thoughts. You're writing about everything that comes to your mind. You're writing about the good, you're writing about the bad. Kind of, you're like also releasing everything that happens in here on paper. And a lot of times, if you go back to what you write, you would find a lot of answers in your own writing, in your own ideas flow, or thoughts flow that just drop down on paper. So that's the importance of journaling. And the other thing that you will do when you are kind of becoming more aware is that self-assessment. So you start really thinking about, okay, I did this, how did that work for me? What happened? What are the results? Did I do? Like, did I achieve what I wanted to achieve? What went wrong? What went right? You know, because it's not always, things don't always go wrong, you know. And remember, this is very important, every time that you, like when you are on this journey, you want to really focus on the little changes. A lot of people fail to change or fail to succeed because they do not see the small achievements. They do not see the small changes, and they not just do not see them. Even if they see them, they ignore them as if they did not happen. And that will make you that will make you feel the failure, because you are not really acknowledging the small successes and the small achievements. And that's why I always say it's very, very important that you celebrate, just like a child does when a child has a new toy, or is promised to get some ice cream, and they go and get the ice cream and they are so excited and so happy. That's how you want to celebrate the smallest achievements that you go through in your life. And the more you do that, the bigger the achievements become, because now, you know what this builds in you? This builds your confidence. This builds in you the confidence that you can do it. And that's very, very important. So these tools will help you gain a lot of inner insights as to who you are, what you want to do, where you want to be. And you are now more familiar, remember the meditation, with you. You know more about you. And in this world where we live today, we know a lot about everyone around us, and we know very little about ourselves. When you are on the self-development journey, you start thinking about you, knowing more about you, and really your interest in understanding, well, I'm not going to say understanding, but your interest in figuring out other people, or what they are all about and who they are to you, you would be more focused on knowing who you are for yourself and why you are this way for yourself. What are your soul's intentions? Why are things like, why are you doing things the way you are doing them in your life? There's always a reason, and that reason is within you, and that's what you want to find out when you are on your self-development journey. With that, I hope that I have answered some of the questions that I have been receiving from people. Like, I ask people, have you started your self-development journey? And they would always say, I want to, I just don't know how, I just don't know what to do. So there you go. I gave you today 3 ways for you to start this journey. And once you do that, it's kind of like an avalanche, right? It starts with a very small starting point, and then it just moves and nothing can stand in its way, right? So with that, I get to invite you to, if you are still skeptical, if you still don't know what to do, if you are that person who really wants to become better, who really wants, I don't want to say become better, because I truly believe we are all amazing, right? We just don't know it. A lot of people don't know how much potential they have. They just don't know what is hidden within them because of all the limitations that have been imposed on them by society, by their families, by their parents, by their partners, by their work environment. So if you are that person and you really are keen on finding out what your potential is, who you truly are, what your real mission is in this world, and how you can achieve it, not just finding out, because finding out on its own does not really answer you, right? You want to find out, and you want to know how you can achieve that goal. So today, if you are in those shoes, you are like, you really want to do things, you just don't know how to do it, you don't know how to start. All you need to do is get on, that's my invitation to you today, get on that call with me. And what we will do is we will talk about your life. We will understand together what you're going through today. What are your limitations? What are the things that are, what are the things that you're struggling with? And from there, during this call, I will be giving you a lot of tips, kind of like what I'm doing now. And these tips will just be like, they will come organically depending on the kind of discussion we are having. And I usually receive a lot of messages. Like, I kind of hear a lot of things. I have my guides, they're always there, they're telling me stuff, and I share, I share everything that I know, everything that I feel. I'm a feeler, so I can feel a lot of things with people. And if at the end of this call, I feel like I can really have like the best plan for you to move forward in that journey of yours, and I feel like our energies work together, that I can really support you and that you are really receptive of that change, I will explain to you and I will show you how working with me looks like. So all you need to do is let me know, like, message me on Messenger or on any of the posts. Just let me know, tell me, Maysoon, I want to talk, I want to know more, I want to learn more, I desire to become better in anything that you think you are not good at, because you are good at everything, you just don't remember. So all I'm here for is to actually remind you, right? So if you are that person, if you need any kind of that kind of support, and you feel that I can help you, all you need to do is just let me know. I will share with you a link for a free call. You can get on this call with me as per my schedule, and we will have a long discussion. And hopefully, if I'm the right person to help you, I'll let you know how that works. And with that, my dear, beautiful pearls, I thank you so much for being with me here today. I hope I have added some value to your life, to your knowledge today, and I will see you again next week. Remember, if there's a topic that you would like me to cover, that you feel I can support you with, just let me know, message me, email me. I'm here for you, and I'll see you again next week. Ciao, ciao.